Slaw Precast in Lehighton, Pennsylvania is a family-owned, PCI-certified plant in business for over 40 years. They were recently contracted to create energy-efficient precast insulated wall panels for a new, state-of-the-art school building in New York City. The project called for more than 230 panels to be cast, weighing up to 41,000 pounds each. The panels featured different surface designs that required flexible rubber form liners. Construction delays due to COVID-19 meant the panels had to be cast quickly to meet a tight deadline. Slaw Precast calculated that buying expensive, pre-made form liners would add months of lead time and was not an option. The only way to meet the ambitious deadline was to produce their own custom form liners. Let's take a look at how these amazing pieces were created with the help of Smooth-On's VytaFlex 60 mold rubber and the Easy Mix meter mix machine. The flexible liners for this project will be made by pouring VytaFlex urethane rubber over an existing concrete master. VytaFlex 60 was selected to make the rubber form liners because of its lasting durability in production and ability to render color-accurate concrete castings. The largest master was 32 feet by 6 feet and needed to be properly prepared with sealer and release agent prior to pouring the rubber. Sonite wax was first applied to seal the surface. This paste wax is suitable for sealing porous models such as those made from concrete, stone, or wood. Application of the wax was done with a soft, lint-free cloth, ensuring all areas were sealed. Chip brushes can be used on smaller applications. The liquid rubber will find its way into even the smallest gaps, which can cause flashing and sometimes, in extreme cases, entrapping the model within the rubber. To avoid any issues, Sculptex Soft, a sulfur-free clay, is used to fill any gaps in the mold box. Compressed air is used to clean any debris from the model to ensure nothing gets trapped on the face of the rubber liner, detracting from the detail. When pouring liquid polyurethane rubber over a model, a release agent is needed for demolding. Due to the size of the models, liquid universal mold release is dispensed in the Quickie, a non-aerosol pressure sprayer, for ease of application and more thorough coverage. Universal mold release is sprayed over the entire model and mold walls for proper release of the cured rubber. Smooth-On's Easy Mix meter mix machine is an efficient, compact tool that perfectly mixes and dispenses mold rubber quickly. It is compatible with either drums or tote units and can dispense up to 30 pounds of mixed rubber per minute, making it an ideal choice when making either large-scale molds or many smaller molds. The Easy Mix machine is placed on the casting deck. The distance is measured to ensure there is ample space for the feed hoses to be connected to the tote units of liquid rubber. Industrial floor scales are placed and leveled. For the scale of this project, a 4,400-pound tote unit of VytaFlex 60 will be used. Each component weighs 2,200 pounds and is carefully hoisted and placed on the scales. Valves are carefully connected to the individual totes. 2-inch diameter reinforced hoses connect the totes to the meter mix machine. The Easy Mix machine has 2 separate pumps, one for side A and the other for side B. The valves are opened and material is allowed to flow to the pumps. A 30-inch static mixer is hooked up to the manifold on the front of the machine. This static mixer blends the A and B components together perfectly while dispensing. A small amount of liquid rubber is dispensed directly from the static mixer into a 5-gallon bucket to help with calibration of the machine. This is done to ensure proper mix ratio prior to starting the large pour. VytaFlex 60 has a 1A to 1B by weight mix ratio. The machine is calibrated to ensure each pump is flowing at that rate. Once calibrated, a hose is attached to the end of the static mixer to assist with placing the rubber over the model. As the liquid rubber is dispensed from the machine, the hose is positioned in the center of the model. This allows the rubber to flow evenly to each end of the model in the most efficient way possible and reduces the potential for trapping air bubbles. A total of 1,200 pounds of VytaFlex 60 was mixed and poured in under an hour to create a single liner. Once the pour is completed, the VytaFlex 60 is allowed to cure for a minimum of 16 hours at 73 degrees Fahrenheit before demolding. VytaFlex rubbers cure with negligible shrinkage to a durable rubber that will last in production. Since the machine will be used again within 16 hours to pour more liners, a full clean down of the machine is not necessary. The dispensing hose is discarded, and the static mixer is cleaned with smooth solve solvent. For complete instructions of the breakdown and cleaning of the EasyMix meter mix machine, please check the link below. The next day, the massive rubber liner is ready to be removed from the forms. Form walls are removed to help with the demolding process. The corners are peeled back by hand to enable clamps to be attached to the liner. An overhead crane hoist is then used to assist with the demolding process. Starting at one end of the liner, it is peeled up and placed on foam for temporary protection. The process is repeated on the other end. The crane is positioned along the length of the liner, and it is carefully lifted from the model. The liner is stored flat and straight to prevent any deformities while the rubber continues to cure. Full cure is reached after 7 days at room temperature. Here you can see the VytaFlex 60 liner captures the fluted detail of the concrete master. For this project, slaw precast required some liners that were not as wide. New mold walls were added to the master to create the smaller liners. An additional coat of sonite wax and more universal mold release are applied to the master. The EasyMix machine is prepped and recalibrated prior to pouring liquid rubber onto the master. A total of 900 pounds of VytaFlex 60 was poured for the smaller liner in about 30 minutes. The rubber is allowed to cure overnight, and the demolding process is repeated. More liners are poured each day to fulfill the requirements of the project. With all liners poured for this project, the EasyMix machine can be cleaned for long-term storage. Smooth solve solvent is used to flush the pumps and clean all hoses and connections where rubber has flowed. For complete instructions of the breakdown and cleaning of the EasyMix machine, please check the link in the description. Proper maintenance and cleaning of the EasyMix machine is critical to the long-term durability of the machine. The fully cured rubber liners are placed on a casting deck and form walls are built to contain the concrete. Other forms and knockouts are positioned for the windows and sills according to the architect's drawing. A concrete form release is evenly applied over the entire mold to assist in demolding the concrete casting. All areas the concrete will come in contact with are sprayed thoroughly, including the wooden form walls. Steel rebar is placed within the form over the rubber liners. The rebar will act as reinforcement within the concrete panels. Compressed air is blown on the liner, and a shop vac is used to clean any dust or debris prior to placing the concrete. The on-site ready mix truck drives into position. Some concrete is dispensed to be tested prior to pouring into the form. A variety of tests are performed in compliance with PCI standards. The mix will also be tested for color and temperature. Retains are taken for strength tests performed at various curing stages. To help place the mix into the massive form, the concrete is first transferred into a holding bucket and raised overhead. It is then dispensed and distributed evenly into the form. The mix is raked and leveled over the form as needed. A vibrating wand is inserted in the still wet mix and is used to eliminate surface bubbles and honeycombs within the panel. Insulating foam panels are placed onto the back side of the face mix. These will be sandwiched in with more concrete. Additional rebar and mounting hardware are positioned over the insulating foam. This next layer of concrete will serve as the backer layer. More concrete is poured over the foam and rebar from the overhead bucket. A vibration wand is placed in the recently poured mix to eliminate any air pockets within the panel that can cause weak points. The back is troweled for a smooth finish. The next day, with the help of 2 industrial overhead cranes, the 41,000-pound casting is carefully lifted away from the forms. The VytaFlex 60 form liners are separated from the panel, and the panel is moved to a truck and then taken out of the building. Once off the truck, the panels are placed in the slaw precast holding yard. Their massive yard is a staging area for all the concrete panels while they reach full cure and the next steps are taken prior to transporting. To create a uniform surface finish, the panels are sandblasted. This process removes a fine layer of concrete from the casting, exposing the sand and aggregate within the mix. Once fully cured and processed, the insulated panels are ready to be transported and erected at the job site in Staten Island, New York. More than 230 panels were cast to create this unique architectural finish. Slaw Precast's ability to make their own custom VytaFlex 60 form liners saved them months of lead time compared to buying pre-made liners. All VytaFlex liners for this project were poured in just a few days with the help of Smooth-On's Easy Mix meter mix machine. Once completed, the building will serve as a first-of-its-kind school, purpose-built to meet the needs of students with special needs and disabilities in a nurturing, supportive environment.